Well, hey, I'm still recovering from bronchitis. I'm at the stage of the recovery where you just have to cough a lot. So I'm doing this as a recorded video rather than going live on Facebook like I would if I'm completely well, so I can stop and take cough breaks. No, not coffee breaks, cough breaks. Anyhow, I had a situation this morning where a friend got in touch and they had a situation where basically what happened is they had a seemingly good relationship with someone else, and all of a sudden that other person sort of pulled back and started acting all kind of impersonal and businesslike. And my friend was explaining to me that they just felt terrible because it seems like suddenly this person is interpreting the things that they're doing and saying in a negative way, as if they don't have good motives, and they don't know what's happened. And my friend just felt really bad and had such a desire to be able to resolve the situation with the other person. But it's one of those situations that happens to all of us in life where we're going along and we think everything is fine, and then all of a sudden something seems to be going wrong, and we don't know why this happened because, we've been going along just like we always do. We've been trying to act above board and, just in a good and caring way and honest. And suddenly somebody else seems to be interpreting it not the way we meant it. When something like that happens, there's a small percentage of us that can just say, you know, I have no control over how the other person feels or acts. I just have control over me. I just need to, emotionally move past this. I mean, if I've tried to resolve it and it doesn't seem to be moving towards a resolution, I cannot keep turning it over and over and over in my mind. That's just making me feel bad. I need to move on. Well, like I said, only a small percentage of people are able to do that. It takes a lot of practice to get to that because we have such a desire to connect with other people, to feel understood, to be liked, to, if not liked, at least accepted. And we want to be accepted on a level of what we truly feel inside, not for some artificial reasons that aren't real. Certainly, I've had this sort of thing happen to me. I'm 69 years old. I've had a lot of years relating with other people, and these kind of things happen no matter how well intentioned you are, because after all, you can only do you. You cannot control how other people are hearing or reacting to what's going on. And I'll give you an example. The most obvious and simple example that I think pretty much every mature adult recognizes is, let's say you run into a neighbor and you say hi, and the neighbor's kind of, yeah, hi, and for some reason is not friendly and just, and you kind of wonder, oh gosh, what's going on? Your thought very often first goes to, oh gosh, have I done something? That's very common, isn't it? But, maybe the neighbor just had a fight with their spouse or their child or their parent, or some other sort of thing happened that has them preoccupied, and they're not capable of relating to you. They're saying hi because that's the right thing to do. but they're totally overcome with emotions that are someplace else other than the little interchange between you and them. And the thing is that some people can go through a situation like that and they can say, wow, you know, um, something must be going on with them, or, I'll say a prayer for them. If I have done something, I'll wait a few days here and see what develops, or if anything develops, or if things go back to normal. Maybe there'll be an opportunity to say, oh, golly, you seemed upset the other day. Is everything okay? And, some of us will even push the situation so far, if we're a little insecure, and we'll say, have I done something to offend you? And, um, you know, maybe you have. Well, then maybe you have an opportunity to try to repair it. Or maybe you haven't, and they say, "Oh, no, I just, something, we have a family situation. I'm sorry. I just was in a very distracted and grumpy, upset mood that morning." Or maybe, I don't want to complicate this little talk, but maybe you have done something, but they don't feel comfortable enough to share it. Life is complicated, right? It would be real easy except for the people. But the point is that, what do you have control over in that situation? Do you have really any control over how they feel, over what they think? Do you? Uh-uh. Do you have control over what you think, how you feel? Our greatest power, our greatest ability in life is the power to choose one thought over another. We all want to feel good, and we have stipulations about what makes us feel good. For example, when we are loved or liked and accepted by other people, when we feel that we're understood, when we feel that we're appreciated, we feel good. But if we seem to be getting from other people that they don't like us, they don't love us, they don't appreciate us, they don't accept us, they maybe think ill of us, or they think that something we've done or said is negative in some way, we feel badly. And because we want to feel good, we want to try to make things right. So, what does making things right consist of? Okay, so here I think we've got to divide this into two sections. One section is making things right. Let's say you did something, let's assume that you didn't even realize it, but what you did or said really did hurt the other person. So they're going around with hurt feelings, bad feelings towards you, maybe assuming that you deliberately meant to hurt them, things like that. Okay, so that you certainly want to make right. But the other part of it is, you want the relationship to go back to the right balance. You don't want things unequal where you're feeling one way, you're feeling misunderstood, and they seem to be misunderstanding you. So you want to, your desire from inside is, you're thinking, what can I do to restore the balance in our relationship so that I can feel as though we have a mutual understanding? They understand that, I wasn't trying to hurt them. You want to be rid of those, oh my gosh, kind of things are not right feelings. And here's the thing, you can do everything with like talking to them, oh, is there something wrong? Did I offend you? Oh my gosh, when I said that, this is what I meant. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean at all, anything negative or anything like that. And, maybe you can reconcile the situation, or maybe you can't. Maybe they just have to take time to get over it. Maybe they'll never get over it. We don't know. Because you can't control their mind, okay? But you can control your own mind. So you've got other things to do in life, right? If you have one of these situations where you feel you've been misunderstood, if you are tumbling this thing over and over in your mind, oh, what do they think? What could they possibly think? Why would they think this? Did I do something, to bring this on? What can I do to change things? How can I handle this? Let's see. I think of this scenario. Oh, no, I'll think of another scenario. You are engaging your mind in fruitless speculation when what you need to do is say, okay, emotions, stop it. I need to trust that it will become apparent over time what I can do about things. And I need to go on with the rest of my life. Because, the rest of your life is still happening. And meanwhile, you're on the side of the road just kind of spinning your wheels, not getting anywhere because you keep turning this thing over in your mind. So, and this is the hard part. We have such a strong desire to feel okay, to feel good, to feel that things are in right balance with, everybody in our lives. We have such a strong desire for that sometimes our main motive with somebody can be feeling good in the relationship, feeling like everything is okay, rather than accepting that in reality, sometimes things are not okay, and that's okay. So what do we do? How do we solve this? This is a real dilemma. Okay, we can't change what the other person is thinking. We can't change what the other person is feeling. Maybe we can't change the situation that, caused all this to happen because, give up the hope for a better past. It's done. It's happened. Now we have to move on and deal with the present to hopefully make a better future. So what can we do? We need to practice, and it's so hard, making ourselves stop ruminating about this whole thing, okay? Stop turning it over and over in our minds and move on with the rest of life. This is so hard because for most people, it's a habit to be kind of going on and on, into ourselves, into our own view of things, feeling I want things to be right. I was right, wasn't I? Yeah, I was, but look, they're treating me this way, and I don't know what to do. You've got to find something to distract yourself, okay? Like for me, and a lot of people close to me, we do several things. One of them might be we read a book or listen to an audiobook that really engages our mind, or even watch a TV show. It's kind of a little bit funny. I'm watching these cozy mysteries, murder mysteries on TV. Well, it happens to be the series Midsummer Murders, Inspector Barnaby. And being, it's in Great Britain, so being a detective, chief inspector, he has a lot of situations, as, police type people do, where people mock him or treat him unfairly or react to him in anger because he's bringing the reality of a situation in front of them and they don't like it, they don't want to look at it. And I know, this is a TV show and it's fictional, but he doesn't respond. He doesn't come back at them and mistreat them or do something where he shows that he really is the one who has the upper hand or something like that. He just goes on with his job because he knows that he can't control what other people think or how they feel. I remember several episodes where somebody had done something illegal. It was wrong. And the person was so concerned that it made them appear like an overall bad person. And he said to them, "We're not here to judge you. We're here to find out, what happened to so-and-so, when, where, how, why, but not to make a character judgment on you or a moral judgment. We're here just to carry out the written law, okay? The law of the land, the legal stuff, not to make moral or character judgments." And I thought, oh golly, this is like what I was talking about before, all right? We have what was the actual situation that happened, and then we have how do we feel about it, And Inspector Barnaby knows that regardless of how he feels, he cannot let that cloud his view of the situation and how he relates with people. He may really dislike somebody and feel like they're just scum, but he has to treat everybody the same, On the other hand, he may think that somebody is just the best person and is really getting the bad end of a deal here and is wonderful. He just has to treat everybody the same, He's not there to say, "Oh, listen, I know that you're a good person and you've been framed or something." No, he is there to say, "Okay, what is the law? Who did what? What are the details?" So on and so forth. Okay, you're not a police inspector or detective or whatever, all right? And neither am I. But I can take a lesson from how he acts on this fictional TV show, okay? When somebody is treating me in a way that I feel indicates that they are reading the situation differently from what I understood to be going on, I cannot let it affect me so personally that I get bogged down in trying to figure out what's going on, have imaginary conversations with them like, okay, maybe if I go to them and I say this and they say that and I try to explain this and maybe they'll understand, or what if they don't and they, you know what I'm talking about. We run through all these scenarios in our mind. No, we can't do that. Sometimes we just need to give things time, and we need to believe in ourselves enough that we recognize the fact that our motives were right, that no matter how much we try to do right, that sometimes, because there's other factors involved and other people involved, it might not be right in that situation, or for some reason it upsets somebody else. And communication, relationships, those are all part of life. Like I said, life would be great except for people. it can be so difficult. I know I feel like, I've got enough to deal with in life without having these what seem like unnecessary complications of stupid misunderstandings in relationships. Oh my gosh. But this is part of life. This is reality, you know? So I was saying, one of the things I do is maybe get into a book or a TV show that takes my mind off of things so I can move on emotionally and break this pattern of constantly turning over and over the how I seem to be misunderstood, and I've tried to do right, and gee whiz, it seems like they think this or that. So I need to break that cycle, the cycle that's happening in my mind that's getting me nowhere. So another way to do this is to go out and, help somebody, cheer somebody else up, do something for somebody. No, not the person that you're having the problem with, somebody else, somebody unrelated to the situation. Give of yourself. That can really make a difference. I have a baby granddaughter, and when I see her, she's just around a year old. So, everything is new and something to explore and be joyful about. And she's at the stage where she loves to give hugs. And, if you clap hands, she's so excited. She can clap hands too, and she realizes that you can give her something and she can give you something, and just the interactions are so sweet, so heartfelt, so uncomplicated. And when I see her, that takes my mind. It can't help but take my mind off of worries and, concerns. So anyway, if you can find something to break that cycle, then that's really helpful. But here's the problem. Things like this are going to happen again because this is part of life. So what you need to do is every time that something like this happens, you need to practice distracting yourself as soon as possible and not getting stuck in that whole mire of feelings and, turning things over in your mind that is ineffective, has no effect on anything, okay, except prolonging your own agony. Because the more you practice distracting yourself so that you're not thinking about all that stuff, the easier it will become to distract yourself. The problem, of course, is that it feels actually safe and familiar to keep cogitating and ruminating and turning things over and over in your mind about what's happened. That's what you're used to, and what's familiar is what makes you feel comfortable. So you're doing something negative that's ultimately not good for yourself, but it's making you feel good, so you want to keep doing it. So it's hard to practice distracting yourself. So the saying where if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. So you might maybe be able to figure out something you can do to patch things over in a situation with another person where you feel like the, balance of things has been restored, things have been resolved, and not deal with your problems, which are being so overly concerned about what other people think of you. Or, that's like having the fish for the one day. But if you start practicing what I'm talking about, distracting yourself from rolling these things around in your mind, then you'll be working towards, eating for a lifetime. In other words, in this situation, being able to move on emotionally and take charge of what you have control over in your life, which is you, yourself. Remember, your greatest power in life is the ability to choose one thought over another. Great power there, but it is hard to develop. You've got to develop strong emotional muscles, so to speak. And you know how that happens? It happens through practice, okay? You can pray all you want, you can meditate all you want, you can go, get drunk or, do something to make you forget. But the only thing that's going to really, really help is for you to exercise your ability to choose one thought over another and move on when you need to be moving on, when there's nothing else you can do in the situation. Give it time, and also accept the reality that not all the people are going to like you all the time, okay? You could be 100% right, 100% loving, 100% just, anybody that would look at you and even look in your heart would say, this is, just a wonderful person here. And there's going to be somebody that misinterprets what you're saying or doing, or just plain old doesn't like the looks of you. And you know what? You just have to accept that and not let it trip you up. And this is so hard. I know it is, because we want things to be right, but they can't always be right. We want to be able to forgive. We can make a decision to forgive by any time, let's say we've been offended. Anytime a thought comes up of offense, we push it out of the way and think of other things. We say, I have forgiven that person, and we move on. But some things take time and practice too. So, just like it takes time and practice sometimes to work on forgiveness of other people, so too it takes time and practice to work on pushing away fruitless thoughts, patterns of thinking that don't get us anywhere. Like this whole thing, I've been talking about, where we perceive that we have been misunderstood, misinterpreted, and it seems like there's nothing we can do to change it. And the only thing that we can do is change ourselves. I hope that this helps somebody, because this is a situation that happens to all of us at various times in our lives. We can kind of pretty much depend on it happening. And, you don't like it, I don't like it, but let's not prolong our agony and sideline ourselves from the rest of life. Let's practice the fact, figure out a way to practice and recognize that I don't have control over you, but I do have control over me. And build up those emotional muscles, that emotional strength and stamina, to be able to make a decision to move on when there's nothing we can do, or when we've done everything that we can. Move on and get on with our lives.